We all know the importance of a good night's rest, but sometimes it can be difficult, right, to achieve. Here to tell us all about sleep supplements is the sleep doctor himself, Dr. Michael Breus. And he said just coming into this segment, he brought supplements for Gelman, myself, Mark, but there's no hope for you.
No hope for me.
No, you're my perfect sleeper.
Well, usually, but not
With one eye
lately.
open.
Not lately.
For sure.
Anyway,
All right, let's get to it.
So, yeah, let's talk about what we can do nutritionally to help.
So one of the things that
sleep.
can happen with a lot of people is they find that they could have a magnesium deficiency. And people don't realize this, but this can be an important factor for sleep. Things like bananas, kale, leafy greens, spinach, that actually turns out to be really important for sleep. A lot of people don't understand sort of the ramifications of magnesium in terms of dosage. And to be fair, our bodies don't make it. We actually have to eat it. So we have to get it from outside, either in food or potentially in supplementation.
And do you prefer it in food or supplements?
So to be honest with you, you could eat a bushel of kale and probably not get enough magnesium into you. So you really probably need to have
Is this
some
what I had a
form of
spoonful of
magnesium.
and it made me...
So it can give you
Yes, it can
diarrhea if
do
you have
that.
too much magnesium too fast.
Well, what's too much?
Remember my jogging in Mexico?
Yes, that's what I was thinking about.
Kelly
So what's the right amount so you don't have a
So
stomach?
you want to have about 250 milligrams of magnesium, and you want to look at magnesium glycinate because it's a little bit easier on the stomach.
Okay.
But the one that works the best for sleep is magnesium threonate. So I have people start with the glycinate and then move to the threonate.
Now, what is this?
Those are magnesium gummies as well. You can try one. They're actually quite delicious.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll try one
Seems like
because
high in sugar, Doc.
he can't possibly ingest.
Now, another big thing to remember is that some medications actually rob your body of magnesium. Hormone replacement therapy,
really.
blood pressure medications, things like that. So for folks out there who are on medications, it could be robbing your body of the magnesium that you need. Supplementation might make
All right,
sense.
you told me this is not an eye
It
pillow.
is not an eye mask, Ryan. I've been trying to tell you this
But it
all
feels so
morning.
good when the plastic's
It is about omegas.
Oh, this should be something they give
Right?
out
I
in
know,
a
for
doctor's
sure.
office.
It definitely feels good on your face. But omegas turn out to be really, really important for sleep. As it turns out, my good friend, Dr. Carrie Marshall, did a really interesting study with her colleagues looking at omegas, and they found that people who are short sleepers don't have enough omegas on board.
Short, meaning like 5'8"? Short?
Yeah,
what?
like
What
what's
do you mean?
the, what's the average
like
height?
4 hours, 5 hours.
All right, I thought it was a
that's-
short joke.
I'm a short-
Trying
I'm a
to
short
make fun of our
sleeper.
stature.
Well, you might be. So, fatty fish, always good, but we also have flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts as
do all of
extra
this,
ways to
so
do this.
that's good.
But if you can't get it all there,
Okay.
you can get it in supplementation. Now,
Okay.
a lot of people will take fish oil supplements, right? So things like you're looking for ALA, DEA, and EPA, and DHA. All of the, I know, there's a lot there.
Is this
lot of
confusing at
consonants and
home,
vowels.
everyone?
So-
Check our website, which I'm told is impossible to actually use, but for the details.
But if you go over to thesleepdoctor.com, we actually have a whole thing on
course, that's an
omegas.
easy
There you go.
So
We'll
that
go to
people
that
will
one.
be able to find
Okay,
it there
good.
for sure. But one quick tip
Yes.
is if you're a big fish oil pill taker and you don't like the smell or it's hard to swallow because those are kind of big hunker pills, stick it in the freezer
And it gets rid of all the flavor.
right down.
Okay.
Easy to
Now,
do.
this is tea time before bed, right?
Absolutely.
Light the incense, have the sage, and some tea.
Absolutely. So tea is a ritualistic process that a lot of people have before bed. So we've got different kinds of teas. We have black tea, we have green tea, and we have, actually this one's herbal, that one's black, and that one's green.
But doesn't green wake you up?
So interesting. So black has a lot of caffeine. Green, you can have, there are different forms of green that have
Okay.
less caffeine. But the thing about green tea that's so good is L-theanine. It's a great focusing agent, and it's something that you can do. But you want to stop green tea by about 2 o'clock and move to herbal teas
Do
like
you
chamomile
always
and
have the
lavender.
perfect night's sleep, or do you get bad sleep?
To be honest with you, look, I'm like everybody else. Like if something is going wrong with my kids, I'm not going to sleep well. But
Right.
generally speaking,
Right.
I'm a pretty decent sleeper. I'm really regimented. I go to bed at one time. I wake up at one time. I'm pretty.
But last night you were so excited to see us.
You're a lot of fun.
Yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
last night
I'm not the most fun.
you stayed up all night because you were so excited to see
Hey,
us.
we're
I
going to
can't say
find
that.
out about melatonin. Let's talk melatonin
Oh
when
yeah,
we come back.
Absolutely.
the M
Dr.
word.
Breus. All right, we're back. Dr. Breus.
Dr.
Sleep,
Breus?
sleep, sleep.
Okay, what are some natural supplements that people can take? You know, everybody says, "Are you taking melatonin? Are you taking melatonin?"
Right. So first of all,
They say it twice?
Always twice.
So let's talk through all of the different supplements. So far, we've been talking mostly about vitamins, fatty acids, minerals, things of that nature. So what we've got over here is several different ones. We've got valerian root, we've got kava, we've got passion flower. A couple of things to think about. So number one, people need to be careful with kava.
Okay.
There's actually a black box recommendation for liver toxicity. So if somebody has
Oh.
fatty liver disease, kava could be very dangerous for them. The one that's the most well studied is valerian root. If you go over to my website, thesleepdoctor.com,
Okay.
you can learn a ton about valerian if it would be appropriate for you. Lavender is another thing that a lot of people like to use from an aromatherapy standpoint.
You know, a lot of people
I
don't
love
know
it.
that Ryan's manservant Alfred does a nightly ritual of lavender essential oils, and then he does like a blessing, a sleep blessing.
Wow, I love the
He's
ritualistic
working on
aspect.
a new chant
Yes.
for summer, actually.
Oh,
so we're
that's amazing.
Yeah,
So-
I'm gonna video it one night.
So lavender can be great from an aromatherapy perspective.
And also on your right here too, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Then another thing, but you might fall asleep before the end of the segment,
No,
so be careful.
don't count on it.
So other things that people might not have heard of is these are jujubes.
What?
So this is actually a fruit. Be careful, there's a pit.
But can we eat it?
You can absolutely eat it. There's
Look
magnolia
at how
bark.
easy it is to get me to eat anything. Can I eat them?
So there's a lot. Be careful, there's a pit.
Yeah.
Remember? Okay. And so there's a lot of different things. Tryptophan is another
lavender.
big one that a lot of people have thought about. I know it's actually pretty good. And then the final one that we like to talk about is Gaba, G-A-B-A. Gaba is kind of the brakes of the brain. So for people who have high levels of cortisol, have a lot of stress at night, who are like vibrating very high at night, Gaba could be something that could be interesting for some of them.
All right,
to check
put
out.
that in the
Gaba-gabba-doo.
purse.
Okay. But now we're
Melatonin.
on to the biggie.
Okay.
The big M, melatonin. All right. So I'm gonna give you the pros and I'm gonna give you the cons of melatonin. So first of all, melatonin is a hormone. Most people don't know it's a hormone. And so what's interesting about that is you wouldn't wander down to your local, drugstore and buy testosterone or estrogen,
Well.
right? You might try, but you can't. And so there's a reason for that, right? Is because we don't necessarily want hormones out there. Another thing people don't know is melatonin is by prescription only in Europe, and it's actually used at high dosages as a contraceptive. Yes, that's exactly right, as a contraceptive. So we're going to talk about why that's important when we talk about children using melatonin in just a moment. Other things that we need to think about from a melatonin perspective. Most people have plenty of melatonin on board already. Most people really don't have a melatonin deficiency. Certain populations make a lot of sense for using melatonin. If you got jet lag, if you're a shift worker, believe it or not, some seniors, so I'm 54 years old, as I'm approaching those years, we'll start to see my melatonin will start to drop down over the course of time. So in some cases, that could be valuable.
Are you considered a senior?
55, I think, is a senior, right?
Don't ask me.
Around here we keep
So
pushing
where do
that.
we get other
When
melatonin?
do we get to eat pistachios before bed?
So right now, because pistachios are loaded with melatonin, so are tart cherries, which
I love, and
which is another great source. But things to think about if you're going to take melatonin is the format in which it comes. If it's
Okay.
in a pill, it could take almost 90 minutes for it to actually take an effect. It's got to go all the way down, come all the way back up. But if it was in a tincture and you put it underneath your tongue, you can sit it there 30 minutes before
What do you
bed.
say about kids should not take melatonin?
Kids should not take melatonin in general, and I'll tell you why. Because, again, contraceptives,
Okay.
I can't see any reason why we would want to have a contraceptive in a young female developing body before its time.
And
Doesn't
what's the
make sense.
quickly?
Got
What's
it.
the dosage for melatonin?
So melatonin should be somewhere between 1/2 and 1.5 milligrams. This is wrong. 10 milligrams is bad. 1 milligram is good. I want to be super duper clear about that.
Got it.
Super duper
okay.
Gaba.
My
All
gosh.
right. Don't forget
Wow.
to check out Dr. Bruce's book, Energize. Everywhere books are sold. Thank you for coming. Great to see
Always
you.
so informative.
Next we'll open up the
Yes.
inbox after.
Excellent.